Guys, you want to know a match? You want to know a match I want to see? I want to see Greg Hardy versus Curtis Blaydes. Now, you can dismiss Greg Hardy as much as you want. I'm sharing with you, and you will have to admit back to me, it's getting harder and harder to do. Greg brings in a lot of attributes. First off, he's excited to be there. I mean, he likes what he's doing. And over a period of time, for all of the athletes, like anything else in life, no matter how much you want to do something or you enjoyed it at one point, it becomes a job. It's just not there for Hardy. I also did not realize until Hardy's last fight just how young he is. I thought he was in the league I thought he did a decade in the league. They did a couple of seasons. I didn't realize this. I didn't know this guy was so young. Then he's huge. And not for nothing, but we have seen a lot of really big guys fail in combat, where we find out it's not a size advantage, it's a disadvantage. They're just too big to move, or they get tired, or they're slow. That's just not the thing with Hardy. He's built the right way. He's got enough height to carry that weight. He's a very strong guy. Okay, I'm just pointing out some of his attributes. Those are very visible and obvious for you. One that's just as visible and obvious if you take the time to see it. It's not you have to see it to believe it. You have to believe it to see it in this situation, which is he's getting flat better. The leaps that he's making between fights, I can't tell you another athlete that's doing it so visibly. Some of that is because he came in very raw. I understand that. Some of it, he was a piece of coal that had to withstand some pressures of time. I concede that back to you. But watching his improvements, you can only make those improvements one way, guys. That's being in the gym, buckled down, focused, and still engaged, curious and interested, and willing to go out and try new things. I mean, every time Hardy fights, he's looking better and better. I'm just bringing that to you. Now, before you go, Curtis Blaydes, number 3 guy in the world, Chael, what the hell are you trying to do to him? What am I trying to do to him? What's he trying to do to himself? The hell's a football player with no experience coming over to MMA for? Well, let's answer the question, because he's a competitor, and he wants to be the best in the world. Greg Hardy is not here for a paycheck. He wants to be the best guy. He is not going to back down because you throw him in there with a Curtis Blaydes. He will be excited about that. If you're going to eliminate Greg Hardy, I'm speaking for Greg, but I've spoke to Greg before. I'll tell you right now, if you're going to eliminate Greg Hardy from this sport, do it now. You take me out to pasture, do it right now. Let's get this over with. So I'm just sharing with you, okay? And you guys shouldn't be the one pushing us back. If you're all anti-Greg Hardy and you think that it's an easy matchup for Curtis, then you should be happy about it. You should be giving me what I want. Oh, I don't like Greg Hardy. Oh, Curtis Blaydes will kick his ass. Okay, great. Then it sounds like we're saying the same thing. Let's see the fight. And in Curtis's standpoint, in all fairness, look, Curtis does deserve top guys. If you can't get a top guy, but you can get top attention, that's exactly what he would get. That's an interesting match. That really is an interesting match. And I don't know that I would fully concede that Curtis would just go take him down, it would be over. Hardy's very hard to take down. And he's not the greatest wrestler. It's from an athletic standpoint. He's got them big, strong hips, and he knows how to use them. He knows how to bump in. He knows how to pull guys up. He knows how to dig those underhooks. He can use his size to his advantage. It's an interesting match. It really is an interesting match. Range and power goes to both guys. Both guys are long and they're lanky. Curtis will touch you a little more. Hardy will look in and look to hurt you a little bit more, right? The touch business versus the hurt business. It's a fun fight. I'm trying to sell you on the idea because I feel as though you're going to push back on me because of the ranking discrepancy. But being brought up slowly into the rankings, that's the way you do the sport. I get it. I'm just sharing with you. That's not how Hardy wants to do it. Curtis Blaydes is a straight-up competitor. I mean, he showed us that by not only fighting Francis Ngannou, losing to Francis and begging for the opportunity to do it again, getting said opportunity, losing to Francis, and asking to go do it a third time. I feel like you guys give Curtis Blaydes a bad rap, by the way. I really do. I don't know what Curtis ever did to anybody, but he did something. Somewhere, right? That's an interesting match. Curtis Blaydes versus Greg Hardy. Think that one over. I think I'm onto something here, because I'm seeing these gains in Greg Hardy. If you were to ask me right now, well, who wins that? I know who the better fighter. It's Curtis Blaydes. I know who should be the better fighter. It's Curtis Blaydes. Greg Hardy's in the weight room and on the gridiron. That's how he spent his life until 3 years ago. Curtis Blaydes was in a wrestling room. Won a national championship in college. I mean, that's a form of combat. Also helps with your lactic acids and getting your conditionings up. It helps with a lot of things that carry over to MMA. I get it that Curtis is better. I get it that he's more experienced. Greg Hardy is making leaps in between fights, so you don't actually know until the night comes. You can't look at the last Greg Hardy you saw, which, by the way, looked pretty good. In all fairness, he looked pretty good. You can't look at the one before that, which, by the way, looked pretty good, and assume that's who would get in there with Curtis. The only thing we know about Greg Hardy, as good as he might have looked in his last fight, is he's going to look better in the following one. Does that change the outcome? Does it keep the outcome the same? That's between those boys. That's between those boys, the judges, unified rules, and the referee. What I'm sharing for you is just the skill. Greg Hardy's skills are jumping every time he fights. Dean Thomas is doing a fantastic job with him. And Greg Hardy's doing a great job of listening. He's listening. You can't get better. You can't get these kind of skills. You cannot grow this much just by competing a few times a year. That's done in the practice room. I want to see that match. Help me out, guys. Do me a favor. Let's get Hardy and Blaydes together.